Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Come closer. 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 Sorry, I haven't been feeling very well. I wasn't up to shouting. I want to tell you something, but you'll have to pay very close attention. Closer and closer, until you can distinguish the grains of matter from which we are formed. Beneath my blemished skin lies a cosmos of detail, undisturbed, unimportant. I want to tell you what I am, why I am here, and what I can offer you. But first, I must show you how I came to be. The time around my birth gave rise to a notorious corruption scandal in the northeast of England. The media centred its attention on T. Dan Smith, the once leader of Newcastle City Council. Smith ran a PR company that accepted underhand gifts from others in return for public work and building contracts, obtained through a vast network of contacts acquired during his tenure in office. Wilfred Burns, who worked closely with Smith as head of the city's planning department throughout the 1960s, was never implicated in any of the corruption. Burns once wrote, "The city must cater to the maximum extent possible for cars." The city these men inherited was in industrial decline. They believed a new motorway network would bring economic prosperity to the city and establish a new financial powerhouse for the north. The central motorway carved a great divide between the city centre and the east, decimating the southern corner of Jesmond before it became my home. The cultural shift from rail to road plunged Jesmond Station into obsolescence before the line was repurposed for the metro in the 1980s. Now that it's gone, I've been struggling to keep busy. The vast expanse of motorway brought with it a new obstacle for the pedestrian, the underpass. The crossing flows of human and machine, a compromise in favour of the latter. So numerous are my siblings, he began collecting and collating us in a photographic archive, documenting our particularities and individual acoustic phenomena. He grouped us into localities, publishing walking routes within a series of guidebooks, to highlight the urban sacrifices made to benefit the internal combustion society that conceived us. He published us online, hoping to engage those moving around the carscape on foot, but only received offers to buy our photographs. I would have signed mine, if only I could hold a pen. He studied the identity of Newcastle's soundscape, encountering acoustic perception and memory. The study asked volunteers to listen to pre-recorded sound walks around the city and map them by listening alone. The study found that the areas of the city dominated by the sounds of traffic, particularly surrounding me and my siblings, were the least accurately plotted by the volunteers. He concluded that the motorway's size and acoustic arena were so large and dominant, it became difficult for listeners to distinguish their precise location. Though Newcastle was transformed to serve the car, sections of motorway lay unused. Aerial walkways remain unfinished, and my kind are filled in, wasted. In his lecture Form Follows Fuel, Barnabas Calder attributes a society's built fabric as relative to its availability of energy. Cheap imported fuel in the post-war period led to the concretisation of the UK, which slowed in the 1970s when Middle Eastern oil producers imposed embargoes as a result of wars in the region. The price of fuel increased, and so large public infrastructural projects, utilising concrete and other energy-intensive construction methods, became economically unsustainable, one reason why much of Newcastle's motorway network was never completed. The men who put this infrastructure in place were first and foremost exactly that, men, in positions of influence with easily enough wealth to afford a personal car. Those who could not afford their own car, women, children, and people from low-income backgrounds, would be expected to divert their journey around the new city-scale toy of the high-flying businessman. This underpass, for instance, below the Great North Road, provides the only access to a bus stop used by a local school. The motorway did not come into existence unchallenged. The lyrics by which I tell you my story are taken from All Fall Down, a song released by Lindisfarne in 1972. Even though it was written in opposition to my existence, I like it. It's the only song I've ever heard about me. I've never had the chance to tell you about myself before. My language requires careful translation. Now I've told you what I am, and how I got here, I can tell you what I can give to you. I have come to know him well. He visits me often, more so than any other. He measures me and draws my features. He wants to learn about my shape, my volume, the space I occupy. He uses the drawings to rebuild my likeness, though much smaller than I. He captures my light onto film. He aims it at my oddities, hoping to reveal the nature of my presence. He is careful not to waste his chemicals. He takes time to appreciate my composition. He builds tools so that he may replicate my surfaces. He wants to preserve my textures and reveal details easily missed. He looks at me through an eye far smaller than his. He can see things as closely as the insects who live here see them. He listens to my voice, how it changes by his position in space and time. My world is noisy, full of engines and tires. His world is quiet, quiet enough to simulate mine. He reassembles me, using his drawings like maps. He wants to show them how my features, between differences in medium, scale, and attentiveness, align with one another. I have come to learn that too little time, effort, and money are spent examining things like me. Within a few years of my construction, my primary purpose was removed. I have grown lonely, neglected, feared. Each generation that passes takes what it wants from the earth, without consideration for the next, leaving it behind as their legacy. I have already outlived those who put me here, and I fear I too have outstayed my welcome. I represent an irreversible chemical change. I will be here for as long as the sun rises beyond my eastern wall. I am not essential to your world, but I am now a part of it. If the sun is to continue to rise each morning, a deeper value must be sought in all things before deciding upon their fate.